Recently, a classified number of individuals have approached our agency claiming to have superpowers. These alleged superpowers are all related to what are traditionally known as the five senses. This information is of sensitive nature and concerns national security, and originally it was not allowed to be divulged to the public. However, we've brought together a group of 5 scientists to show how these superpowers are impossible. All of the people in this documentary possess a different superpower that pertains to a different sense. They will then be disproved using science and common sense. Rayon was always told that he had super smell. He could always sense the smell of anything around him, and he could even follow the path of a scent, much like a bloodhound. He noticed his ability as a child. Used as a party trick, Rayon took advantage of his ability. He, however, went to the doctor to find out what he possessed. The doctors told Rayon he had hyperosmia. This may sound like a superpower, but it is not, and here's why. Hyperosmia is an increased olfactory acuity, or a heightened sense of smell, usually caused by a lower threshold for odor. This perceptual disorder arises when there is an abnormally increased signal at any point between the olfactory receptors and the olfactory cortex. The causes of hyperosmia may be genetic, environmental, or the result of benzodiazepine withdrawal syndrome. 47-year-old Tyler had to have both of his eyes removed during a childhood battle with retinal cancer. During his time without them, he has so finely tuned his hearing that he can navigate his bike through heavy traffic, climb trees, camp alone, and dance fluidly, all without the need to see. His power is echolocation. To orientate himself, Tyler clicks his tongue and listens closely as the sound bounces off objects around him and returns to his ears at different volumes. Although this may seem like a superpower, human echolocation is something quite prevalent amongst the blind. This is the whole idea of the cane, designed with the intention of the blind getting around. The auditory system possesses sound waves as they travel from their source, bounce off surfaces, and enter the ears. Echoes and other sounds can convey special information that is comparable in many respects to that conveyed with light. With echoes, a blind traveler can perceive very complex, detailed, and specific information from distances far beyond the reach of the longest cane or arm. There's only one person to call, super-tasting Sanj. Surely only she can decipher every single ingredient in a food just by simply tasting it? Well, not exactly. 25% of our population is said to have the super-tasting ability. A super taster is a person who experiences the sense of taste with far greater intensity than average. The cause of this heightened response is unknown, although it is thought to be related to the presence of TAS2R38 gene, the ability to taste PROP and PTC, and at least in part due to an increased number of fungiform papillae. 7 years ago, Sam discovered that she was immune to being burned by liquids at temperatures way beyond boiling. She discovered this because a pot of boiling oil approximately 842 degrees Fahrenheit was spilt and splattered all over her arms, and she was completely unharmed. He claims that she can feel a low level of heat, but her skin never blisters or burns. She claims that this is a superpower, but there is an logical explanation to disprove this. Sam's alleged superpower is actually described by a common phenomenon. The Lindenfrost effect is a phenomenon in which a liquid is in near contact with a mass significantly hotter than the liquid's boiling point, produces an insulating vapor layer, keeping that liquid from boiling rapidly. This can most commonly be seen in the kitchen when cooking, if water comes into contact with a hot pan on a stove. You may notice the water darting across the surface instead of evaporating. This is what scientists say is happening with her skin. Somehow there's a protective layer in between that allows this liquid to just merely skim across the surface and not get absorbed, kind of like the water droplets in the pan. 23-year-old Alyssa grew up being told she has a superpower because she's what is known as a tetrachromat. Tetrachromats can see colors beyond the normal range of the human eye, but do not know that their color perception is abnormal. When Alyssa was just 5 years old, her parents noticed that she was getting frustrated while learning her colors in school. The doctor told them that Alyssa could see more colors than the average human. This may sound like a superpower, but it most definitely is not. Here's why. The human eye has 3 layers, one of which containing cones. There are 3 types of cones that help humans to see. Neurologist Gabriel Jordan said tetrachromats have an additional type of cones, which explains why this is not a supersense, just a mutation of the eyes.